Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we are going to be reviewing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 38-3 win versus the Chicago Bears. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers move on to 6-1, while the Chicago Bears fall to 3-4. If you guys are new here, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button if you do enjoy these types of videos, and leave your thoughts about this game down in the comment section below. Guys, I did not think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could play a more complete game than what we saw versus the Miami Dolphins literally just a couple of weeks ago, but this team proved me wrong again. This was arguably the most complete game I have seen from this Buccaneers team in the entirety of the Tom Brady era so far with the Bucs, and they were without guys like Antonio Brown, like Rob Gronkowski, like Richard Sherman, like Carlton Davis, like Sean Murphy-Bunting, like Lavonte David. All of these guys, they were all hurt, right? So many starters, so many important players out, and they decimated the Bears, winning by 35 points. Absolutely insane. And it wasn't just like the offense did a phenomenal job. No, the defense very much did their part and had a big hand in this victory as well. So there is so much good stuff to go over, and yes, a little bit of bad, but again, much like how I talked about that in the Miami Dolphins game, I'm kind of nitpicking at this point. But let's go ahead and start off with the good. And guys, I'm just going to go straight down the list looking at the box score stats here from the team. Tom Brady, the captain, the quarterback of this team, 20 of 36, 211 yards, count them, 4 passing touchdowns. Absolutely great game by Tom Brady. He did what he needed to do to score touchdowns early and often in this game. The defense gave him some great opportunities with some very short fields to work with, and Tom Brady capitalized on a handful of those opportunities. We'll talk about some that the Buccaneers offense didn't capitalize on in a little bit. But regardless, Tom Brady was great today. He did exactly what he needed to do to win the game. He was efficient, didn't make any mistakes, and took what his defense was giving him. Absolutely love that. That's what you want to see out of a quarterback that is leading your team. Going to the running game, Leonard Fournette, 15 carries, 81 yards, and a touchdown. He also finished with 4 targets, 2 receptions, and 9 yards. So he had 90 yards from scrimmage today, right? He didn't get 100 rushing yards. He didn't get 100 scrimmage yards, but he was still effective running the football today, doing what he needed to do in the ground game. And overall, I thought he did a pretty good job. Getting a touchdown never hurts either. Ronald Jones also had a good day running the ball, 10 carries, 63 yards, no touchdowns, unfortunately, and I don't believe he was targeted in the passing game as well, but regardless, a good day running for both Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. And you know what? For the heck of it, I'll even throw Vaughn in there as well. 5 carries, 27 yards to finish out the game. That was good for Vaughn, who was finally made active in this game after being inactive throughout the entirety of the season so far up to this point. So all 3 running backs for the Buccaneers, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, and Vaughn, all looked pretty good running with the ball in their hands today. Now we go to the receiving game. And guys, to be honest, this was a 2-man show. It was Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. For Chris Godwin first, 11 total targets, 8 receptions, 111 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Very good game for Chris Godwin. He got that touchdown. He really almost had 2, but that was not the case. Unfortunately, he was down at the 1 in one of those opportunities to score. But Chris Godwin, again, great game from him. He got back into the groove of things. He got targeted a lot due to the absence of Antonio Brown, and he came up in a big, big way. Mike Evans, 10 total targets on the day, 6 receptions, 76 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. Mike Evans was great today. He really was. He caught a fade for a touchdown. I believe he caught a slant for a touchdown and one other play for a touchdown as well. I believe it was a screen So Mike Evans was doing it all today. He caught the deep ball, he caught the short passes, he was a monster in the red zone. Mike Evans did Mike Evans things, and it was just an awesome thing to see. Again, it was a two-man show in the receiving game today. Godwin got 11 targets. Evans got 10 targets. After that, the guy who got targeted the third most was actually a tie between Cameron Brate and Leonard Fournette with 4 targets apiece. So you could tell with the absence rather, of Antonio Brown, Brady just said, hey, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, let's go. And go they did, and they really did show up and do a phenomenal job when they needed to. Now let's move on to the defensive side of the football. And again, there are so many guys to talk about in this game. Devin White, 10 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He really didn't, and he got a quarterback hit as well. Devin White really didn't, he didn't really make many mistakes in this game, which I thought was huge, right? He didn't miss many tackles. Overall, he did a very, very solid job of just tackling and overall being a very efficient player. I was very happy to see that. Jamel Dean, 7 total tackles today, 1 tackle for loss. He looked good in a couple of plays in the run game. He had great coverage on Allen Robinson. He was a warrior. There were a couple of times in this game where Jamel Dean did sustain an injury to his arm or his hand or wrist area. He came back and played, I believe, in the first scenario. I don't remember if he was out there the second time, but anyway, Jamel Dean, he continues his good streak of play in coverage. Didn't get an interception today, unfortunately, but regardless, Dean did a really, really, really good job. D. Delaney is the next guy I want to talk about. 5 total tackles in this game, 1 pass deflection, and an interception. D. Delaney got an interception. It was the first of many for Justin Fields today. Was an awesome thing to see. I talked about how D. Delaney and Pierre Desir are both guys I like in this secondary, and Bruce Arians likes them as well. That's why he was having trouble deciding which guy should be the starter between Pierre Desir or D. Delaney. Arians had said both guys have had a good couple of weeks, and it showed in this game. D. Delaney got an interception, 5 total tackles, and a pass deflection. That was some great stuff for him. Not only did he get an interception, but Pierre Desir got one as well. He finished this game with 2 total tackles, 1 pass deflection, and an interception of his own. Absolutely proud of how all 3 of those cornerbacks played today. Them being Jamel Dean, Pierre Desir, and D. Delaney. Ross Cockrell was a little bit quiet today, but he still finished the game with 5 total tackles. But for sure, I'm so proud of how these cornerbacks are playing despite all of these injuries to their usual starters. Guys like D. Delaney and Pierre Desir are stepping up when they need to, and it's a great thing to see. I'm so proud and happy for those guys. Kevin Minter did a decent job, in my opinion, filling in for Levante David, 5 total tackles. You just love to see stuff like that. Jason Pierre-Paul actually had a really, really good day today. He had 4 total tackles, 2 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble as well. JPP was on some stuff today, man. He finally started to wake up a bit as a pass rusher against a not very good Bears offensive line, and it definitely showed. He did a good job. Shaq Barrett, 3 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. He also had a forced fumble, and he recovered a fumble as well. So shout out to Shaq Barrett. He's playing some good football. Antoine Winfield Jr., 3 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit, and he had a forced fumble on Justin Fields as well. It was absolutely insane. Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, and Antoine Winfield Jr. all had 3 sacks, 3 forced fumble sacks on Justin Fields during this game today, and it really was a great thing to see. They accounted for all 4 of the sacks that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had on this day. It was great. Finally, just talking about some more players towards the end here. Vita Vea, 3 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass deflection. He continues to do Vita Vea things and be the absolute beast that he is. So that's always a fun thing to see there. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the player aspects of people who impressed. But I do want to give a couple of quick special shout outs on my good list today. The first one goes to the fan who gave the football back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Tom Brady threw his 600th career passing touchdown to Mike Evans. Evans did not realize that that was the pass that was thrown to him. He gave it to a fan. The fan gave the football back. I imagine some type of deal was cut there, but still, kudos to that fan for giving the football back if he ever does watch this video. And then, hey, I'm going to give a shout out to Coach Richard Sherman. That's right, I said Coach Richard Sherman, because the Buccaneers cornerbacks coach was actually out for this game due to being on the illness list. Richard Sherman, he said, hey, I'll put on the headset, and he did, and he stepped in, and what happened? The secondary looked great today. Looked great. Multiple interceptions. Overall did a phenomenal job. It makes me want Richard Sherman to be a coach with the Buccaneers after he retires from football. What do you guys think? Do you want to see that as well? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But I am going to give a shout out to Coach Richard Sherman. I am going to give a shout out to the offensive line as well. They did a very good job protecting Tom Brady today. Ryan Jensen showed some very good composure whenever he got punched in the face by a Bears defensive lineman. That was great as well. That player ended up getting rejected, but Jensen held his cool and remained firm. So it was great. Awesome. Absolutely awesome on all sides of the field, man. That was everything from the good list. And just a real quick glance over the bad. Guys, there's not a lot here. Alex Kappa missed a screen block. Okay, that's me nitpicking. Ryan Suckup missed a field goal. Okay, that is a little bit bad, but he did make all of his extra points later on in the game. He did miss that one field goal. He did make another field goal a little bit later, so it's really just that one miss. Again, that's me nitpicking a little bit. The rushing defense, though, was probably a legitimate bad in this game. The Buccaneers gave up 143 rushing yards on 29 attempts today. That's the most they've given up in a long time. Khalil Herbert had a really good game, 18 carries for 100 yards. Fields had 8 carries for 38 yards. The rushing defense was a little bit slacking today, I guess you could say, but overall, I mean, they didn't need to do a ton. The pass rush was still doing a ton of work. The secondary did a great job as well. That was basically all the Bears could do on offense was running, which was ironic considering, usually teams don't run well against the Buccaneers, and usually they just opt to not run the ball at all. It was actually the reverse today, which I thought was an interesting thing to see. But yes, the rushing defense, I think, was a legitimate bad thing, and it's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because this is the second game in a row where some runners have been able to get a little bit more wiggle room against this Buccaneers run defense. That could very well be because Lavonte David has been out, but it is going to be worth paying attention to. And finally, the second half red zone offense was tough. There were 2 opportunities where they had the ball at the 1-yard line on 2 separate drives, and they only came away with a field goal from both of those drives. Ronald Jones had a fumble on the 1-yard line. That is a bad, but that is me nitpicking as well. And then they just went 3 and out, and Ryan Suckup had to kick a chip shot field goal. So that needs to improve. The offense wasn't in a big urgency type of situation to score on those drives, but it still would have been nice to get that continuity and keep momentum in your favor going into next week's game versus the New Orleans Saints. But aside from those few things, guys, that is it. Again, I will say this. This may have been the most complete win the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had since the Tom Brady era started. Maybe you look back at the Dolphins game. Maybe you definitely look back at the Lions game from last year. That may have been a more complete win, but this is the second out of 3 games where the Buccaneers have just dominated their opponents. So they've got a lot of momentum on their side going into the Halloween matchup versus Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints, and that's a good thing to have in my opinion. So I'm going to be very excited and very interesting to see if the Buccaneers can keep up all this momentum they have made for themselves after this dominant win. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts about this game down in the comments section below. I would love to hear it. What did you think was good from this game? What did you think was bad? Give me your thoughts. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, the Buccaneers move on to 6-1 and go Bucs. And goodbye for now.